Hi everyone! In this video, I'm going to talk about our first writing assignment, which is a poem. And I'm going to talk about what a poem is. We're also going to read an example together, and I'm going to help you with your writing assignment. This semester, we will read different types of texts: articles, academic essays, paragraphs, and stories, personal narratives. But week one, we're actually going to read something short and sweet, which are poems. Poems are pieces of writing that are arranged in separate lines. Sometimes they rhyme, they have a similar sound, and the words are chosen because of the sounds and the pictures and the ideas they bring to a reader's mind. And they look something like this. Like this is an example of a poem. Why are we reading poems in this class? First, to begin with something easy. It's just week one. Second, to practice looking at examples of good writing so we can learn to write well. Also, to focus on parts of speech, making sure we use nouns, adjectives, pronouns, verbs correctly, and practicing using adjectives, because adjectives are used in poems to make it descriptive and interesting, so you feel like you can smell and taste and hear things. Also, I want us to place value in where we come from, because the theme of these poems is where I'm from. You all come from different countries, different cultures, different histories, different experiences, so I want to give you a space to be able to express yourself and practice your English. First, let's read some examples. So this poem is called Where I'm From. It actually is a famous poem written by George Ella Leon, and this poem became famous, and students from all over the United States have used this poem and written similar poems. So we can see some here that people have written. There's different websites. Here's another one. So they've been written by students from all over the United States. Let's read this together. Where I'm From by Gracie C. I am from Cross Colors, from Portuguese cooking oil and pledge. I am from the tide smell. I am from the aloe vera and the oceans. I am from holiday parties and birthmarks, from Bras and Joanna and Costa. I am from the constant cleaning and cooking, from never tell lies or steal. I am from the Catholic faith. I am from Angola and Cabo Verde, and cachupa and mangoes. From the fighting with four brothers, the protection of four brothers, and the love of four brothers. I am from Cambridge. So this is one example, and if you click on this link, there are more examples. So cross is something that people wear around their neck, and sometimes it's gold, so maybe here she means that they use this gold color. Maybe she lived in Portugal, or maybe her country was a Portuguese colony. I think we find out here that this student is from Angola. So Angola it's a country in West Africa. We learned that maybe pledge here, this is a wood cleaner, so maybe she grew up with people using pledge, or maybe she cleaned houses. She grew up on the seed side because she says, I'm from the tide smell. The tide is the rise and the fall of the ocean. She's from holiday parties and birthmarks, so maybe in growing up there were lots of parties, and maybe she had like a birthmark like I have here. Maybe these are important people to her. Growing up, there was always cleaning and cooking. Never tell lies or steal. Maybe this is a saying that someone said in her family. This is her religion. And we learned about how important her brothers are here. and maybe now she lives in Cambridge. So these are all the important things in her life and all her experiences that make her where she's from. And there's another example here. And again, if you click on this link, you can find the original source. In our Zoom session, we'll talk more about these poems and go over the discussion questions. There's also vocabulary, okay, for each of the poems and the definitions in these flashcards. Let's now look at the writing assignment. So, just like the previous one, you're going to write your where I am from on the discussion board. Okay? And I wrote an example here. So this is my where I'm from poem about me and my life and where I'm from. So you can look at it as an example. For the writing process, we want to do it in steps, okay? Pre-writing. First, look back at the student examples for inspiration. So look at what the students wrote so you can decide what you want to write. Notice how it's organized and what they write about. We did that a little bit just right now earlier in the video. Then we want to brainstorm. Think of ideas of what we want to talk about. Copy this table in your notebook and write down details about where you are from. After, circle the details you want to put in your poem. So these are some categories of things you might want to write about in your poem, like the names of people who were or are important to you, special foods or meals, the smells and the tastes that you grew up with or make part of who you are, games or activities you used to play as a kid, the best or worst things you were ever told, phrases repeated in your family, ordinary household items, so things in your house that you grew up with, or maybe they were outside your house, family traditions or stories, or maybe they're cultural traditions, song titles, TV, movies, books, important life events, and losses and joys. So, and you can even change these categories. What's important to you, and where do you come from? So, I just did this in my notebook. Here's an example. I want to show you an example. So I wrote down some categories here, and then I took notes of people important to me, the special foods I grew up with, some of the smells and tastes that I grew up with, the games and activities I used to play, like I used to do Greek dance and go to Greek school. I remember as a kid going to Lohiya Shores, to the beach. Phrases repeated in my family, like my grandmother always used to say, "Iyia pano po ola." This is Greek for health always comes first. And my mom always told me, do your work first and then relax. And etc. So you can fill in and take notes on things that are important to you or things that describe where you come from, and then you can decide what you want to write about in your poem. You can circle it or highlight it. Now when you're writing, you want to follow the structure of this poem, okay? I recommend writing it first on a piece of paper and then typing it on this discussion board. So it follows the structure. I am from, and from, I am from, and you can continue as long as you wish. After you write your poem, check to see if you made any grammar or spelling mistakes. Did you capitalize the proper nouns? Did you use the parts of speech correctly? Use at least 3 adjectives and underline and highlight them. So in the grammar lesson this week, we talked about adjectives, and I gave you lists of adjectives you might want to use in this poem, or you can use different adjectives, but I want to say at least 3 adjectives, and you need to highlight them. You can also add a picture. So, and then here's my example, and if you see here, I added some adjectives. So to start your post, you would just click reply, and then you write your post. I am from right? So you could go on, and then I used an adjective here So then you could put a background color. I might put blue because it says blue waters, or you can underline wherever you use an adjective. You could also insert an image. You could do that here to insert a picture. But a picture is not required, but it is fun to do that. There's also a video here about how to do that. So, I look forward to reading your poems. Please come to the Zoom session and tutoring sessions to get more help with your poem, and have fun with writing this week. Bye.